Hello everybody, Houdini here, and welcome to the brand new Palworld series, Lucky Chunk Locked. Let's quickly go over the rules and challenges. Rule 1. I can only catch lucky pals, but when I catch a certain pal, I can catch the normal variant as much as I want. But they can only be used for condensing or selling to merchants. Rule 2. Next to being lucky locked, I'm also chunk locked. The whole map is divided in level regions. Let's call them chunks. In order to leave a chunk, I'll have to do two things. I have to defeat all alpha bosses, and I have to catch all the lucky variants of the available pals in that chunk. Here's a list of them. But there are three exceptions. Exception 1. While testing this kind of challenge, I noticed spawn locations weren't the ideal. At the border of two chunks you have the border spawns, as I'd like to call them. These are spawns of pals from the bordering chunks. So technically I also have to catch these because they are available to me. Problem is that there are just 7 or 8 border spawns in my chunk. This makes the lucky version of those pals pretty rare. Not impossible, but I have to sink a lot more hours in order to also catch these. But that's not my actual problem with it. Should I also make these border spawns required to progress the chunk? The bordering chunks won't have any new spawns, as their chunk spawns are exactly the same. So if I make them necessary, after completing the first chunk, the 3 bordering chunks will also be fully completed. And that's something that goes against this challenge, as I want to thoroughly explore the chunk to get the most out of them. So, should I encounter lucky border spawns, I will surely catch them, but they are not required to complete the chunk where I'm currently in. Exception 2. Spotting a lucky in a locked chunk. It is possible to encounter a lucky in a locked chunk. Not being able to catch them would sting, so I came up with some middle ground. If I got that lucky already, I should let it go. If I don't, I am allowed to catch it, but I cannot leave my chunk with my character. This allows for some creative thinking in order to get it without crossing the border. Easy with a flying mount, otherwise I'll have to do some creative building. And exception 3. Let's talk about the Mummerist in the room. Mummerist can spawn on a lot of places, and is a minimum level 30 as a regular pal. As a lucky pal, he will always be level 50. I'm quite sure it's impossible to catch one while only being restricted to the first chunk. So how awesome one would be, it is just impossible to get one this early. Or is it? Maybe, just maybe, it would be possible with hyperspheres, provided by Vixie. But, as you already know, Vixie is a border spawn, so pretty rare. I will also need to damage it quite a bit in order to get a chance. We will see. Should I get lucky enough to encounter one, I will sure as hell try everything I can to catch the thing. But in order to progress, it's not a must. When I can unlock a new chunk, I have to consider two things. I can only unlock a chunk that's connected to the chunk I'm currently in. That means I can't just have the farmost northern chunk unlocked after I finish the first chunk. Second thing is that my first goal will be Sakurajima chunk. As I didn't play any of the content there, I really want to get there with this account. So every chunk unlocked will form a route towards there. Whenever we completed the Sakurajima chunk, which is months in the future, the following chunks will be randomized, as long as they border the chunks I've unlocked already. The sanctuaries will be unlocked when I reach the level of the highest pals there. Sanctuary 1 needs level 25, the others one need 45. But these are not bound to the rulings, as these areas are limited in space and content. When I have a decent flying mount or hang you, I will work on the pals there as well, but these are optional until the end game. Rule 3. Hard mode settings. Pretty straightforward. Everything will hit like a truck, while my damage is greatly reduced. Especially in the early game, this will be brutal, as lucky pals are very powerful. Disclaimer: I did change some settings to add some quality of life. You'll either like it or hate it. I have turned XP gain to double the rate of normal mode with a ×2 modifier. Trust me, you will see very soon how slow everything will go even with this multiplier. I also disabled death penalties as it just exists to slow you down even more. At last, I minimized stamina depletion for both myself and my mount pals, as I personally don't like the stamina mechanics like this in the game. Rule 4. The first lucky pal I catch reserves a permanent slot in my party. This will be my starter. Let's hope it's not a Chickapee. And Rule 5. No fast travel, except base teleports. While this can be seen as just a rule to slow progress down, it's not because of that. Teleporting makes the world a lot smaller in a sense, so I want to experience the game to the fullest, traveling to places so I can really get to know everything of this game, and try to be as efficient as possible in order to achieve that. So, that were the rules. Now for some early goals. Goal 1 might be pretty obvious. Catch my first lucky pal. But this is easier said than done. I'm actually hoping the first lucky will not appear instantly. Lucky pals are said to be stronger when they are an enemy. Finding a lucky TLDR, apologies if I butchered its name, when I'm level 5 will be horrible, as I will probably won't be able to catch it without some luck. We'll see what will happen. Goal 2. Collecting all possible Liftmunk effigies for better catch rates. I'm actually already doing this in the background. So yeah, that's done. Goal 3. Finding the optimal base location, preferably with all basic resources being wood, stone and ore. There is a decent one in the very beginning, but I will perhaps search for another one to spice things up for myself. Goal 4. Go through as much dungeons as possible. There are 2 in my chunk. For XP, items and luckies. The items I want most are any of the combat pendants, cold and warm thermal surge, any crossbow schematic, the higher the better, and skilled fruits. My favorites are lightning streak, seed mine and shockwave. These will surely help out. And now, at last, the lucky wishlist. First place is shared by 2 pals, being Cativa and Dinosaur. For clarity, the last one is my personal favorite, so of course I want it to be my starter pal. But this will almost be impossible. For some reason, they spawn in the beginner area at a rather high level. Being lucky, their level increased by about 50%, so they will be strong as heck. They also are rather rare, so I'm not confident in finding one as my first. Now for Cativa. Although Cativa is not my favorite, he's a true MVP of the early game, and he can carry its weight through the early game and mid game. Quite literally, as its ability increases carrying weight by 50, which is really handy. Aside that, he has the handiwork skill for faster creation of stuff and the mining skill. To top it all off, he's a great fighter because of its exclusive active skill. He claws its way forwards, fury swipe styles, and can dish out tons of damage. Getting Cativa early will propel our progress the most of all pals. Even its guaranteed coward passive skills that decreases its attack by 10% is noticeable. Second, Fox Sparks. This one is technically even more important than any other pal in the chunk. Fox Sparks has the kindling skill, which allows me to create ingots. No Fox Sparks means no furnace, no ingots, no condenser, no crossbow, and so on. It is pretty common to find, so it wouldn't be an insane struggle, but the sooner I find one, the better. Also, its ability, Huggy Fire, is really good in the early game, and its stats are decent as well. Third lucky, Vixie. Although a border spawn, getting this one would help me out a lot. While not powerful in battle, Vixie can produce pal spheres in the farm, up to hyper spheres if fully condensed. Just really handy to get passive spheres. Should I get one, I would grind to the max condensation as soon as I can. If I've got enough fox sparks by then, of course, as you need ingots to build the damn thing. 4. Any watering or farming pal. When I acquire both farming and watering pals, I unlock the farming of food, which is quite handy. Watering is also good for the crusher to process paldium. 5. Tombat. Next to looking cool, he's an amazing pal to have in the base, with his level 2 in mining, transport and gathering. Just a really solid pal, and one I would like to get soon. 6. Lamball and Chickpea. To put it bluntly, I just need the XP they will unlock. Lamball is useful because of his handiwork, and Chickpea can lay eggs in the ranch. Their combat abilities are subpar. I expect to get them very soon, as they are quite common. It will be handy to gain levels because of them so I can get stronger luckies. And 7. Any mount. TLDR, Melpaka or Nightwing. While very handy, they are lower on the list purely because the available mounts are quite powerful in the beginning. So I'd rather encounter one when I'm a bit stronger and have a full team of pals. The rest of the pals aren't that insanely useful, but of course adding any lucky pal to my base or team would be amazing. And eventually I have to get them all anyway. So yeah, that's about it. It's time to begin this adventure. See you in Palworld.